Welcome to historic Huff Hall here on the campus of the University of Illinois. It's women's gymnastics on this Sunday afternoon. The Fighting Illini taking on the visiting Bowling Green State Falcons. My name is Connor McCool. I'm joined by a fabulous Illinois women's gymnastics alum in Julia Waite. Julia, what are we expecting today from these teams?
Both teams actually just competed on Friday, so both teams coming off a double meet weekend. I think we're expecting to see these teams building their confidence going into their conference championships in a couple of weeks. So we're excited to see what these teams do today.
Yeah, pretty decent showing by both these teams. A little bit of deja vu. They just saw each other at Ohio State on Friday, just under 48 hours ago. Bowling Green had a pretty good showing for them. 194.275 is going to notch up their national qualifying average. And they were without their top all-arounder, Catherine Wellbacher, who is available for them today, and she's going to be in all four events. Illinois, a decent showing for them, 196.325. Not going to make any major implications in their national qualifying score, but still a very solid number to continue rolling for them. As you can see there, got second in that contest in that quad meet. What's the goal today for them? Obviously, there's not a ton of implications for conference stuff. Their seeding is already decided, but for these teams, like, what's the mindset going into today?
Yeah, so on Friday, the Illini put up a 196.3. They really want to try to get closer. Their season high is a 196.85. They really just want to break that number, get maybe in the 197 range, try to raise their national qualifying score. As Connor said, the win-loss record today doesn't necessarily matter, so the teams really just want to build that energy, really put out the best routines that they can, and try to raise that NQS.
Absolutely. Illinois is totally chasing that 197 number. That is an average of a 9.85 per routine, so as you go along this meet, look for a 49.25 per event to see if they're on pace for that number. Bowling Green has also yet to eclipse that 196 mark, so that's going to be down at the 49 range. If both those teams walk out today with Illinois going 197, Bowling Green 196, that's a win for both these teams today.
Yes.
As you can see in that shot, Illinois unfortunately did have Rutu Nataraj go down with an injury in one, which was really unfortunate for them. She was slated to be in vault and beam today, so sliding in Olivia Coppola into vault in a replacement. And we're going to see Ari Ward make her debut on beam, but we're going to jump right over to the vault as Mia Takakawa is going to lead them off on the vault.
Mia will be doing a Yurchenko full, which most of the athletes today will be doing.
She's a great leadoff for this Illini squad because she's really known to stick the vault. That's a great momentum starter. Let's see if she can do it. She had a little slide on Friday. Obviously a little bit of a hop, but a really, really dynamic vault. One of the higher vaults I've seen her do. She was really working on that body position. It's a great start for the Illini.
Yes, really high amplitude. That's going to be the key, is getting amplitude and that landing for the optimum vault scores for the Illini.
All right, we have Megan Bingham mounting the bars for Bowling Green. Going to show us a combination of releases. This is a clear hip to a Tkachev. Really nice height there.
Working hard to hit those handstands.
One of the key things the judges are looking for is to be directly on top of the bar. They say you have 10 degrees from handstand, but I really think they just prefer you to be right on top.
See if she can get the stick on her dismount.
Unfortunately, just pikes down, kind of brought her feet up a little bit. Really want to stay entirely extended on that double layout into the ground, and that caused her to take a couple hops back. But definitely a good start for them. A hit is a hit, and they're can feed off that momentum into the next coming bar workers.
Looks like we're back on vault with Olivia Coppola, freshman.
Yeah, not originally slated to do vault. As we mentioned, Rutu did go down with an injury, so she's going to notch back into this vault lineup. She's competed a fair amount of times for them, so this is not an event she's unfamiliar with for the Illini. So a 9.8 comes through from Mia Takakawa. That's a really solid starting number, especially with that slide.
Definitely.
Really, the hope is just to dial in the landing here. It's going to be the same vault as Mia.
Awesome landing. She had height and she had a more controlled landing than we saw from Mia Takakawa. So hopefully the Illini can keep that strategy going with the rest of the vault lineup.
Yeah, definitely a more controlled landing. So as hops go, you'll see a small hop like this one will probably get half a tenth. It can go all the way up to a tenth and a half per if it's a really, really large hop. That one was more controlled than Mia, so I expect that score probably will go up. A little bit more dynamic overall. Still waiting on the judges for Megan Bingham's opening bar routine for Bowling Green.
It looks like Kira Thornton is getting ready for her routine.
She's an international athlete for Bowling Green from the UK. They have two British athletes on their team, as well as Tegan Milligan. And then you'll obviously see Amelia Knight on the Illini squad, who's also from the UK. So, bit of a multinational event we got going on today. But as we're waiting for the bar judges to sort out their scores, a 9.85 comes through for Olivia Coppola. So they did notice that she was a little bit more controlled, and that did show up in the score. So that's good to see.
Yes, great score, and hopefully those scores keep on building for Illinois. So that's a great start.
As an athlete, what does it feel like to be sat there? We call it icing out from the judges. How do you feel like? What are you thinking about trying to mount the bars? You just want to go, but they're making you wait. How's that feel?
Yeah, it can be difficult at times, especially with keeping warm and not knowing when the judges will be ready. But really, you just have to stay calm. It looks like that's what the athlete's doing now, just controlling her breathing, staying in the mindset, and not letting the external factors affect her too much. So hopefully the judges will be ready to go here.
Looks like they did determine the score. So looking at bars, there's a couple of different ways you can get to that 10-0 start value. You can either do a release on the same bar. We saw Megan Bingham do it to Katja. This is going to be a different style routine. She's going to do what's called a Maloney, so it's a bar-to-bar transition. She's going to do 2 of them, and that's how she's going to get her bonus points. Saw a couple leg separations there. It's sometimes tough. The judges are on the side, so you're not sure exactly how much of that they can see. The Maloney in the backswing there had a pretty large leg separation, so I expect the judges did see that. And unfortunately, it was a little bit short on that last kip cast handstand. But nice half in, half out dismount.
Nice finish, a little step on the landing, but I think Bowling Green's probably happy with these her routines so far and building that.
I know the dismount's been a focus for Kira. She sometimes has a chest down deduction. That was a lot better on the body posture when she landed.
Looks like we have Mia Towns getting ready to do her Yurchenko full for the Illini on vault.
Yeah, she's mid-season, got back into this vault lineup. They've been really happy about it. 9.875 on Friday. A little bit of a fight to keep that to 1 hop, but definitely the highest and farthest vault we've seen so far.
Yes, the judges will unfortunately probably take a deduction on that, trying to control the landing like that, but we do like to see the Illini fighting for those controlled landings, which is really gonna set them apart to get a high event score on this rotation.
Interested to see what the judges actually do there, because it was overall in air the best vault they've done so far, but then the landing had a bit of a hop, and then obviously the additional lean. So interesting to see how that compares to the scores they've given so far. We have Megan DeZalio mounting the bars next for Bowling Green. Another bit of a delay from the bar judges. Vault might be a little bit easier to get the score out because it's such a short event. There's only so much going on. Bars is a little bit more complicated.
Looks like Mia Town's score comes in at a 9.775. And Megan DeZalio gets ready for her bar routine.
Kira Thornton's score comes through as a 9.6. Definitely notched up from the first routine, so always want to see each routine, get a higher score than the last. That was a nice clear hip into a Ginger. That was really well done. Sometimes she has a really large leg separation on that. That was a lot tighter than I've seen in her other meets. And a good bail to handstand. She's a freshman in for Bowling Green, coming off an ACL tear, so just happy that she's here competing. And a nice blindfold double back.
Yeah, a little bit close to the bar on that dismount, but she did a good job of hitting her handstands. I liked seeing her going for that, being aggressive. And now back to vault, we have Aaliyah Byrne for Illinois.
This is a vault I've been the most excited to see the growth, even throughout season or since her freshman year. Really just so much more laid out and open.
Very good height.
You could see she was off to the right on that vault mat. So they just implemented those lines just last year to give the judges a frame of reference to see if you were down the middle of the mat. So she landed off to the side over the line. So that's going to be a deduction, unfortunately. But really nice dynamics and a pretty controlled landing. Just going to get that additional deduction for being off to the side.
Yes, you can see a little bit of pike in the hips on that replay, which is something that the judges will also look for. But all things considered, a powerful vault.
Yeah, when you look for a laid out body position, it's all about the hips. You don't want to see any bend in the hips. You're allowed to hollow in your chest or rounding the shoulders, but any break in the hips is considered a deduction. It's what's called a pike. So they're going to take maybe half a tenth there, tenth if it's really, really severe. But a 9.8 is a pretty solid score considering the directional deduction. So Illinois is happy with that. Would like to see these last two vaulters notch up into the 9.85 range potentially.
Here goes Love Akpin for Bowling Green.
Woo! And that was a ray. It's a toe on Tkachev. Sometimes she catches that in a little close and just didn't get her hands around the bar. So unfortunately, that's going to be a fall.
She did touch the bar, though, which is what the athletes do like to do, so they get credit for that skill. She should not have to repeat it.
Correct. She's going to remount now to the low bar. Bail to handstand. It's very important that the athletes, I know this is a fall, and they obviously can drop their lowest score, but you don't know what the people after you're going to do, so it's really important to minimize the deductions as much as possible, and she did a great job there on that double layout.
Pretty body position in the air on that double layout, and that's what you want to see with a fall, finishing the routine as strong as you can, and even going for every other deduction.
Abby Miller here on the vault, going to do the same vault we've seen so far, Yurchenko full. She's also worked really, really hard on her body position and height, and she can stick it as well. Let's see.
And so close, she takes the tiniest step after circling her arms a little bit to get that landing, but a super small step, so the judges won't take a lot on that.
Yeah, you can see she was fighting to stay controlled. There's a new rule this year, we've talked about it a couple times, where you have to stand at the end of your routine on vault, bars, and beam with your arms up by your ears for at least a second to show that you're controlled. So that's why she took that extra step. Maybe last year you could have tried to cheat it and show that, pretend that you stuck it better than you actually did. But this year they're really cracking down on it and would have taken the deduction. So she did take that extra little slide, but still going to be a solid number. So Bowling Green did just have a fall in their last routine, but if there was a person they'd want to have up, it's Catherine Wellbacher, their top all-arounder. She was unavailable on Friday, but she's here and in the all-around, ready to go. Their top scorer on pretty much every single event. Really, really just a solid performance. She went 39.5 at LIU this year. It's our third best in Bowling Green history, so that's very, very exciting to have her back in lineup today.
I'm excited to see how her bar routine goes.
She's a really, really high straddled Jaeger here. Massive above the bar. A little bit of a knee bend on the release, but judges want to see amplitude, and she had that in spades.
Nice cast handstand and toe handstand. As we saw before, a little bit of leg separation on the pack, but not sure if the judges will see that.
She's going to show us a half and half out dismount. Straight out of a toe on.
Really pretty handstands.
And gets the landing.
That'll probably be Bowling Green's highest bar score so
Absolutely.
far, so love to see that, especially following a fall. She really did her job.
Yeah, a couple little form things, but dynamics-wise, really just the best swinger we've seen so far.
And now on vault, we have Arielle Ward, who does a 10-0 start value for Illinois, which is such a big difference maker. She does a 1.5, which is different from the other vaults we've seen from this lineup doing just fulls.
Yeah, the only one we'll see today. Really, really well done. Great dynamics, really big height. Just that hop on the landing, but honestly, the body position, the foot form has really improved since the beginning of the year. That's going to be their top score for sure.
Yes, she has definitely improved her body position in the air. Flat hips, and as Connor said, just that small hop, but that should be a higher score considering she starts from a 10, as opposed to a 9.95.
See Judge 1 have a 9.9. See what the other judge puts forward. So it's going to be a 9.9 for Ari Ward. That's great. That will notch up their score to a 49.125. Keeping pace with where they're at against Ohio State, but if they're going to go for that 197 mark, then you're going to need to make up that additional 10 somewhere else, right? We're looking for a 49.25 per event. So just behind that by 0.125, but if you get a 49.375 on the next event, then that gets mitigated. So
yes, I believe they're more than capable of making up those 10s on other events.
And the big thing about vault is most of their vaulters didn't start out of a 10, so they didn't start out of that perfect 50, right? So all the other events, they'll have a 10-0 start value in every single routine from here on out. So it is easier to notch up into higher scores on the other events.
And Bowling Green's 6th athlete on bars, Isabella Ravelli, going now.
She's a beautiful bar swinger. You could see her have to reach for that straddled Jaeger, but she's gone 9.9 many, many times for Bowling Green. And you can see why. Really open shoulders, just great swing, and she's got a double layout dismount, but she can stick. Little step forward, but just looking at the Jaeger, really just a lot of good stuff going on in that bar routine. I still think it might be their highest score. Catherine Wallbacher comes through with a 9.725. She just had the best form out of that lineup.
Yes.
All right, that will do it for rotation 1. Illinois at a 49.125. Depending on what Izzy Ravelli gets for that bar set, they will drop Love Akpin's 8.825 with that fall. So coming through this rotation, no falls. That's a win for them, but probably not the score they're looking for. There's just a couple Hansen issues, some couple steps on landing. So they're going to have to make it up on these next couple events if they want to hit that 196 mark. I think they're very capable.
And it looks like they have an exhibition going before we rotate to the next event. Charnaya Brown getting ready for her exhibition.
Yeah, and this release move you're going to see from Charnaya, it is so impressive. Probably the highest Tkachev that I've seen in quite a while. It's really up there. The one thing is when you go for such a large release move like that, it's hard to get back to the bar sometimes if you overdo it. So that's something she does struggle with. That's why she's in the exhibition spot. Not quite consistent enough for lineup, but excited to see her get a shot today as Izzy Ravelli comes through with a 9.775. So pretty solid score considering that larger step on the landing.
Here goes Charnaya. Nice first handstand.
This is that Tkachev I was talking about. Really up there, and she gets back to the bar. Holy cow. And a great handstand after.
Really good controlling her swing out of that huge release move to still hit the handstand.
And it has been mentioned a couple times this year she's been short on that bail to handstand, not getting credit, so she didn't start out of a 10. That probably is what's going to happen today as well. But as soon as she figures out that bail, she will be a staple in this Bowling Green lineup. That judges love release moves that have that kind of dynamics, and that was a great dismount, very controlled landing.
Yeah, I think the exhibition spot is so important. Here's a replay of that dismount, just a small slide of her foot. In the exhibition spot, she can show what her routine will score and whether she could break that lineup. And I think there's a good chance that that routine will score high enough to be considered.
Yeah, the exhibition spot's great. You can put a little bit of pressure on that you don't really get in the gym. It's a little bit more comfortable in practice. So getting out in front of the judges, in the competition Leos, it's just a different feel. So it's exciting that they have that opportunity. Does go away during postseason, but that was a great effort. So that will be the end of rotation 1. Illinois has got just under a point of a lead, 0.975. So definitely a solid start for Illinois. No counted falls, no large mistakes, just that one fall, but they don't have to count it. So just going into vault, Bowling Green, they want to pick up the pace. They do have 6 Yurchenko fulls this year, so they're very excited about that. And Illinois is going to hopefully go on and swing some really big bars, because that is one of their better events that they've been showing at Leiden-Soltness, really coming out and just, she got a 9.975 at Big Fives. And Mia Takakawa obviously is qualified to the NCAA championships on bars. She's a Big Ten champion. This is a really, really power-packed lineup. All right, and we will catch you back here in a couple minutes for the uneven bars for Illinois and vault for Bowling Green. Welcome back to Huff Hall, heading into the second rotation of Illinois Fighting Illini versus the visiting Bowling Green Falcons. Down through one rotation, Illinois up 49.125 to Bowling Green's 48.15. What did you see, Julia, during that first rotation that stood out to you?
I think Illinois should be happy with the start that they have. They had high vaults, some steps here and there. They have still been working to have, a perfect rotation. But I think they're happy with this start, especially going into bars, which they have been doing very well on bars. And Bowling Green did have one fall, which they didn't have to count, which is great. They were able to make that up. They had some steps here and there, some form issues, but I think they should be happy with their start, not having to count any falls. And now they can come to vault and just be aggressive, go for those high vaults and stuck landings.
Absolutely. Illinois definitely had to highlight with Ari Ward's Yurchenko 1.5, the only 10-0 start value we're going to see today. And then at the end of the Bowling Green bar lineup with Catherine Wallbacher back in lineup for them, and then Izzy Ravelli, which I think was the highlight for their bar lineup. Interesting to see how the judges stack up. I thought the bar judging was a little bit tighter than the vault judging, so interesting to see how that reflects on the Illinois scores, and then maybe Bowling Green can close the gap with their vault rotation here. See a shot of head coach Carrie Turner from Bowling Green, actually very familiar with Coach Natalie Walsh. Natalie Walsh was an assistant to Carrie while they were at University of Wisconsin Oshkosh together 20 some odd years ago now, but love to compete against each other. Still a lot of camaraderie between the two.
As the Illini warm up bars, Connor, what do you think is their biggest strength on this event? What do they have that could really set them apart in this meet?
I think they have really, really dynamic swingers. You'll see mounting the bars right now is Amelia Knight. She is a bag of tricks. Every single year she's been here, she's done a different routine. And she's just a really, really exceptional bar swinger. You can see the Illinois scores coming up there. Rounded out by Ari Ward's 9.9, also a 9.85 for Olivia Coppola, who wasn't slated to do vault today before Rutu Nataraj went down with the injury. So really nice to see her slide in and get the second highest score for them. So they're in good hands now. They're going to be without Rutu in vault, but they have Olivia right there ready to go with a great Yurchenko full.
And you can see Bowling Green scores from their first rotation bars, having an event total of a 48.15 with Isabella Rivelli leading the way for them.
Yeah, not any bad routines by any means besides the one fall, but just some steps here and there, some missed handstands. The judges were really clued in on that, so not the highest scores that they maybe were looking for, but they did have 5 routines to count. Big Ten Gymnastics, now all on one great Instagram account. Follow at B1G Gymnastics for the best Big Ten highlights, videos, and images straight to your feed. Join the community now on Instagram. All right, we're entering rotation 2 here. As we mentioned, Illinois has opened up a pretty sizable lead after rotation 1, but a solid rotation for both these teams. We're going to see Megan Bingham lead off again on the vault. As a leadoff, you were someone that was comfortable in the leadoff position. What is that like? You're really setting the tone for the team. The coaches have to have a lot of trust in you, right?
Yeah, I think that really proves that the athlete is consistent, is confident. As you may know, the lineups are meant to start off with a really consistent competitor and get the team on track. And, you know, it can be a little nerve-wracking, especially on the first event, but it's honestly an honor. It's a privilege to get to start off the team with a strong ball and be that energy that they need.
Honestly, probably one of the more highest forms of trust the coach can put in you.
Exactly.
Knowing that they trust you to set off the lineup on a good foot, and we'll see Megan Bingham do her Yurchenko full for us. Gets a little bit hung up in the air, does avoid putting her hands down for a fall. Not going to be the vault they're maybe looking for, but she got her feet down, wasn't going to be a fall. So
it's over to bars. We've got Abby Miller hoping to also be that leadoff, be that strong routine to start off the bars.
Yeah, Abby hadn't competed a ton of bars prior to this year, but she's been in every single lineup and really just doing a rocking job for them. Here's going to be a straddle Jaeger. Beautiful extension on the catch.
Working for that handstand, has to arch a little bit, but very aggressive.
It's a risky game to go all the way on top because you don't want to go over too far the wrong way. It's unfortunately a deduction to be both short and a little too far like that arch, but that last handstand was awesome.
Abby has a nice double layout. See if she doesn't quite get the stick, kind of rebounds in place there a little bit, but really did a good job getting those handstands and minimizing the landing deduction as much as she could.
Yeah, a lot of the things Abby sometimes struggles on bars is catching in close on that Jaeger. She really did catch with great extension, and she went for the handstand. Sometimes she's a little bit short. You want to see an athlete aggressive right off the gate. So in order to really go for those perfect routines, you have to be aggressive and willing to really put yourself out there like that. So it's impressive to see her do that, especially being first up.
Yes. Looks like the first ball gets a 9.5. So the second competitor, Kira Thornton, probably hoping to get higher than a 9.5 and put up a big score for the Falcons.
Yeah, the judges didn't hit her maybe as hard as I thought she would. She did manage to not put her hands down for a fall, so avoided that 5/10 deduction. But in a good position here for Kira to reset the momentum for them. And a really good job. A small slide on the landing. Maybe not the amplitude they were looking for. She had a shoulder angle on the table, which kind of prevents you from rising from the table. But got her feet down, avoided a fall, so it's a good reset vault for their lineup to really just kind of change the pace for them.
Yes. Looks like Abby's score is coming in as Ariel Ward is the second competitor on bars. Abby Miller gets a 9.75.
And that's a solid number for her. She did have that one handstand that was a little bit overarched and then the kind of large hop on the landing. So pretty decent number, but Ari has a great swing on bars. Really, really willing to go high on this Jaeger, and she does. She's been kind of going back and forth between routine constructions, whether or not she connects that to the low bar. Is going to do it today. And she's got a great half and half out dismount. Really high, and she gets the stick.
As you can see, that dismount floated above the high bar, which is something that the judges really look for, getting that amplitude as well as the stuck landing. So she did a great job finishing that.
Yeah, I think there was one handstand that maybe was a touch short before the dismount. And the one struggle Ari has is with the feet, having her feet totally pointed. So they might hit her that on the Jaeger, but a really, really solid effort, and love a stuck dismount always.
Maddie Coburn getting ready to go on vault now.
Another full twisting Yurchenko. That was way, way higher than we've seen even in warm-up. That was a great vault for her.
Agreed. That was a very great vault. Nice form in the air and a pretty controlled landing.
Yeah, I would expect that to notch up close to the 9.8 mark. Really, judges appreciate dynamics like that. Sometimes she can twist a little bit early, but did a good job of being patient on that one. And it showed up in the vault. Really, really high. Just a little bit of a slide. Judges still deliberating for Ari Ward's bar routine, as we see Amelia Knight is going to be the next two mount for the Illini.
Having to wait a little bit like we saw earlier, which can sometimes throw the athletes off, but you know, sign of a great athlete is someone that can stay in that mindset, not let the external factors bother them. But it looks like they should be ready to go.
9.75 comes through for Ari. Kind of expected that to notch up maybe a little bit higher than Abby, but like I mentioned, she caught a little bit close on the Jaeger, had some foot form, so judges might have hit her on that a little bit more dialed in on the execution deductions. But Amelia has a wonderful bar routine. Such a dynamic swing.
I love Amelia's bars. She has such nice lines, and when she hits those handstands, it is just really nice to watch.
A little bit short on that last kick pass handstand, but this double layout is massive. Slung it out a little bit today, but
unfortunately hops forward on that landing, which will be an extra deduction as opposed to hopping backwards due to the under rotation.
Yeah, the judges want you to see, if you're gonna take a hop, they want you to hop in the direction you're rotating to show that you had more power than not enough. So she was a little bit short, indicated she didn't quite have enough rotation, which indicates usually that there's some sort of technique issue that resulted in that additional hop. But Trinaya Brown's gonna do a big Yurchenko full for us. Really, really good height. Just couldn't find the landing there. Had a couple extra steps at the end. Judges are gonna hit her on that, but in terms of dynamics, the best vault we've seen for Bowling Green.
Sort of falls out of that landing a little bit, which, as you said, the judges are looking for that new rule to hold the landing for a couple seconds before you salute. So missed that a little bit, but nice power and nice form in the air.
Absolutely. If she could dial in that landing, that would be a really, really big number.
And Naya gets a 9.75 for that vault.
Yeah, you can see the judges really did appreciate the dynamics and body position she showed there, because she did have a couple slides, but it still scored comparable to the last vault, which showed that judges are really, really appreciative when you go that high and go that far.
Katie Ewald now on bars for Illinois. She has such powerful bars, really goes aggressively for those handstands. Maybe was a little bit short on the first one.
Came off early on that release for the Jaeger, but got back to the bar very impressively. Thought she was unfortunately going to miss it, but she stayed on. That was a great kip cast pirouette on the low bar.
Finishing right on top of the bar on that pirouette like the judges want to see.
Great last kip cast handstand. Here's her half and half out dismount. Just a small slide. Illinois really looking to dial in the landing on one of these routines. Haven't broken into the 9-8 range yet, and this is one of their better events where they can kind of get ahead in terms of score. But they have some heavy hitters coming at the end of the lineup. Love Akpin for Bowling Green, coming through for another Yurchenko full. Very controlled landing. Was a little bit high on the table. Didn't get quite the block maybe she was looking for, but very, very controlled. So we'll be happy with that landing, of course.
Yes, the Falcons have been doing a good job of having both dynamic vaults. We've seen some landing inconsistencies here and there, but I think Love did a really good job of taking a small hop. So we'll see what the judges do with that vault.
Mia Takakawa will be next for the Illini. Still deliberating on Katie Ewald's score, but a 9.825 comes through for Love Akpin, so did really appreciate the control she had on the landing. It's another 9.75 for the Illini. Both these last two athletes, Mia Takakawa and Leiden Saltness, have both gone into the 9.9s multiple times this year, so could potentially get some big numbers here at the end. That's a wonderful first handstand.
Has such pretty bars, and as you said, is capable of a really high score, hitting that bail handstand in a very good position.
One more kip cast handstand, pretty close to on top. It's going to be up to the judge whether or not you take it. Here's her double out dismount. She's worked so hard on the body position. Just a small hop.
Hops forward, as we saw from Amelia, but a smaller hop, so won't be as big of a deduction.
Still has the potential to break into the 9.8s, but won't be that big 9.9 number like she's capable of doing. Catherine Wohlbacher on the vault. She's got a really big Yurchenko full. Really, really dynamic. A little bit of a slide, but the highest vault they've done so far.
Considering the judges scoring so far, I think they will probably reward that vault for its high amplitude and nice body form in the air, as we can see on her replay.
Yeah, a little bit of a leg separation on the table, but sometimes hard for the judges to see, but pretty good foot form in the air. I would expect it to be right around the 9.85 mark. .9775 comes through for Mia Takakawa. That hop forward probably did cost her a 10th or two. Really looking for a big number here from Leiden Saltness at the end of this lineup.
A couple meets ago, she notched a 9.975.
Which means she got a perfect 10 for one of the judges. Beautiful ray to pack.
That was an amazing connection.
Great kip cast handstand on the low bar. Has just one more combination. It's a giant folded double tuck.
Maybe a tiny bit short on that last handstand.
Great giant full. Can she find the stick? And she does. That absolutely will be the Illini's highest score. It should absolutely break the 9.9. Might break the 9.9 mark. Should be at least 9.8. I'm sure it's going to drop their lowest 9.75.
She really minimized those deductions on that routine. Not much for the judges to take on that.
Exhibition from Tegan Milligan. Tuck full. Little bit deep on the landing, but good for her to get just a competition experience out. Really intrigued to see what the judges go for Leiden Saltness. They've been a little bit tighter today than maybe at some other meets, but that was definitely the best bar routine we've seen from any of the athletes today. So it should be the highest score. Intrigued to see just by how much.
And we've got Allie Morgan, a senior, for the exhibition on bars, getting ready for her routine.
Really excited to see Allie back swinging bars. She had labrum surgery last year, repairing her shoulder, so she was unfortunately out, but happy to see her back on bars. She's been competing floor as well a lot for the Illini. A 9.9 comes through for Leiden Saltness. Well deserved. There was two handstands, like we mentioned, that might have been a touch short, and I think these judges were pretty tight on deductions for handstands if they weren't perfectly on top. I think they were getting a half temp deduction, but that was a great number to end that rotation.
Here goes Allie mounting for her bar routine. Nice first handstand.
Can do a swing half into a Tkachev, and then down to the low bar as well. Really nice height there.
A bit of feet flexed in that release, but very high. Doesn't quite hit that last handstand.
Nice giant full into the double back. Didn't quite hold the landing for long enough, but that was a really good effort for her. It's good to know they have options in the stores for if they need to swap someone out, give somebody a rest.
Yes, very solid routine. Some form things, but a hit routine is a hit routine.
Yeah, getting the confidence of actually being able to go out on the competition floor and hit a bar set, it makes it a lot easier to really focus on those little things like flex feet, like handstands. If you're not worried about actually staying on the bar, then you can focus on those smaller details. So getting this stuff out of the way is really important for the athletes, and I think it's going to help her confidence a lot. She's hit 2 for 2 in the last 2 exhibition routines.
As the teams circle up after this event, it looks like Illinois is at a 98.075 and Bowling Green with a 97. So Illinois leading by a bit over a point.
Definitely not the bar rotation Illinois was looking for. Didn't really stick any landings except for Leiden saltness at the end, a 48.95. So averaging just below a 9.8 per routine. There's no plus like home on Big Ten Plus. In addition to live games, your subscription includes exclusive access to Big Ten Network's library of classic games, award-winning original programming, and specially curated digital channels that highlight your favorite Big Ten school 24/7. Explore all Big Ten Plus has to offer on the app or at BigTenPlus.com. That is the end of rotation 2. We'll catch you back in a couple minutes after the touch period while we'll see Illinois on beam and Bowling Green on floor. Welcome back to Huff Hall after the second rotation in this dual meet on this Sunday against the Illinois Fighting Illini and Bowling Green Falcons. A little bit of a weaker rotation maybe for both teams. Illinois came through with a 48.95 on bars, and Bowling Green, some solid vaults of the 48.85. What'd you see there on that last rotation, Julia?
I agree. I think the Illinois Fighting Illini would have liked to see a slightly higher score on bars, breaking not only into the 49 range, but the 49.2 range. I think the judges were just very specific on what they wanted to see from those routines. We had some not stuck landings, which is going to be some automatic deductions that the Illinois Fighting Illini kind of threw away there. But I think Bowling Green would be fairly happy with their 48.85, close to that 49 mark. I think the judges rewarded them for their high-flying vaults. As we can see, one of those being replayed now.
Yeah.
Some landing issues, but...
Yeah, overall dynamics, they had Love Akpin get a 9.825, really solid landing, and Catherine Walbacher, you'll see right here, a really, really dynamic full. So a lot to be happy about. Did have to count a lower score right at the beginning of the lineup, but that's going to be one of their higher vault scores this season. I think, like you mentioned, the bar judges were a little bit tighter than the vault judges. So it's going to be interesting because the judges actually split. So Judge 1 on bars will go to beam, and Judge 2 will go to floor, and then the vault judges will split onto their respective events. So it'll be a different selection of judges. Interesting to see how that shows up in the scores for the rest of the competition. But, you know, a lot to be happy about for the team. But you mentioned Illinois gave away a little too much on the landing. When you hop forward like that on those landings, you give the judges an opportunity to take an additional deduction. And especially for tighter judges, Natalie Walsh says it a lot. So we want to give them nothing, right? If you give the judges nothing to deduct, then they can't take anything, regardless if they're a harsher scoring panel or not. So just gave away a little bit too much, gave the judges an opportunity to put their pen down. But I think they're going to refocus into their really good beam team, and then Bowling Green also has a very strong floor team. So we have just a couple minutes left in this rotation warm-up. We will catch you back at the start of rotation 3. All right, we are back with rotation 3 here at Huff Hall. Illinois ready to mount the beam while Bowling Green goes on the floor. Bowling Green has a very strong floor lineup. You see that capped off with Catherine Walbacher's season high 9.925. She just got a couple weeks ago. We're going to see Mia Towns mount the beam. She's a quintessential leadoff for them, really just so solid.
Yes, we'll see. She dances so confidently, which is what you want to see in a leadoff, as we talked about before. The leadoff spot is so important.
She hasn't broken out into the really massive numbers this year. Sometimes the leadoff routines get a little bit more stricter judges. The judges are kind of dialed in and then kind of get looser throughout the rotation as momentum builds. But what you got to say about Mia Towns, she's so solid and really just starts their rotation off on a good note basically every time. You can see the way she just make eye contact directly to the judges. So much confidence up on the beam.
Starting off with her leap combination, switch leap straddle quarter.
Very solid. One weak point for her is sometimes she doesn't hit that 180-degree split. Imagine, you know, a protractor or a ruler. That's kind of what the judges are expecting them to do in those leaps and jumps. I think the first one might have been a touch short of that 180-degree split, so the judges might take her deduction there. But this is a big combination for her. Cat leap into the side aerial.
Unfortunately, lifts that leg a little bit, so the judges will take a balance deduction there, but does a good job pulling it back.
Yeah, the deductions vary for balance checks like that, depending on the severity. If it's just a small bobble, it would be a half-tenth, but usually a leg-up check will be a tenth or a tenth and a half. That was a great back handspring layout step out.
I think think just a turn in the dismount for Mia left. Good job on that full turn.
One thing she's been getting deducted on this year, she's doing a round off tuck 1.5 dismount, and it's been a little bit ambiguous to the judges whether or not she's going for a layout shape or a tuck shape. So really hoping she can get into the actual tuck position so the judges are sure what she's going for. We're going to see it here. Gets the stick, and I thought that one was pretty good. I think the positioning was showing that she was intending for a tuck, and it looked like it. So,
great job starting off the lineup with a stuck dismount. Due to some dismount steps on bars, I think Illinois is really going to want to focus on those landings, so it's great to see the first routine doing that.
Yeah, she did have that one leg up check on the aerial, which will take probably a 10th or 10th and a half, but obviously brought it back with that stuck dismount, so hopefully still be a reasonable score for them to start off the lineup.
And as you can see, Lauren Bannister getting it started for hopefully a fun floor rotation from Bowling Green.
So athletes have an option of doing a 2 or 3 pass routine. Lauren's going to show us a 2-pass routine. And what that means is she's going to need to show some additional difficulty in her dance leaps. That was a nice front layout, front full. A little bit of a big step, but that front full rose after the first layout, which is exactly what the judges are looking for.
During these dance sections of the routines, the athletes do have to maintain a level of choreography and artistry, which does come into play in the scoring. So I think she's doing a good job smiling, looking at the judges, and entertaining the audience with this routine.
9.825 comes through from Mia Towns. That's a really solid number considering the balance check, but they didn't have a lot off otherwise.
Great start.
We saw that dance combination from Lauren. That's a switch side half into a popa. Finishing off with a great double tuck, but you see, she got as much bonus from her dance combination as she did from her tumbling. That shows just how much the rule book actually incentivizes jumps like that. So really smart construction by them. Doesn't have to do as much tumbling. There's not as much risk or stepping out of bounds or taking a big step. The dance elements are a little bit less risky. You'll see the 2-pass routines are, maybe for better or for worse, becoming more common in gymnastics because there's just less to deduct.
Amelia Knight starting her routine with a difficult mount, which does count as a skill in her routine.
Yeah, a lot of people just hop on the beam. So Amelia's, that's called a candle mount. It's worth a D, and a D gets an automatic 10th bonus, so it helps her to her 10-0 start value. You need 6 total 10s to start out of a 10, so she gets one just by actually hopping on the beam.
She has a difficult series, as we'll see later in her routine. Fights to connect that leap pass. As you could see, her shoulder was dipping down a little bit. For those connections, the athlete does have to keep moving to get that bonus.
I think she did a good enough job throughout that to get credit. She never stopped moving. It was just a little bit wobbly, but brought it back pretty well on that side aerial back handspring, a really difficult series. She has one more major element in this routine. It's called a side summy. Been pretty solid on it thus far in season. Hopefully can continue that streak. Another little check. I think it was pretty on. I think she just rushed it a little bit, maybe a little bit more patient on the finish of that. She could have gone without a wobble, but stayed on the beam. That's obviously objective number 1. But she's just got her dismount left. It's going to be a gainer full off the side.
Hopefully continue the sticking streak.
And she does.
Yeah, that was a great finish. She might not be happy with those couple of balance checks, but did a great job staying in it the whole time and getting that stick. Looks like the floor score came in at a 9.725, so a pretty solid start for Bowling Green on floor.
Yeah, there's a couple form errors. She obviously had a little bit of out of control on that first pass and did what's called a cowboy on her second pass, where you spread your legs to increase rotation, but it is a deduction, so the judges did take a couple 10s here and there, but it was a solid start for them.
Elise Broska now.
Another 2-pass routine from Elise. She's going to start off with a tough combination pass. It's a back 1.5 to a full. Hopefully can show some rise on that second somersault. Did a pretty good job.
So far, this team's doing a good job of controlling the landings. The judges want to see no foot movements. They're allowed to lunge, but no other little foot movements like that.
So she did attempted a wolf 1.5. It's a D leap. On that leap, you want that straight leg to get up at least to hip height. I think she was a little bit low of that, so judges might get her a little bit. An additional leap combination there. A little bit better on her extension on that one, I would say, than the first one. And a 9.75 comes through for Amelia Knight. A bit par for the course based on the couple wobbles. Not a bad score by any means, though. Push off the double tuck. Again, you saw her pull her legs wide. That's the cowboy we were mentioning. It's going to be a deduction, and she was a little bit short. So, gonna have a couple tenths of deduction maybe on that second pass. We have Ariel Ward mounting the beam. This is her first competitive beam routine for the Illini. She's in the all-around tonight. Maybe bittersweet for her. She's out because of the injury to Rutu, but she does get the opportunity to go up. She's got a nice, difficult turn right at the beginning. It's called a wolf turn. It's worth an E, which is 2 tenths to her start value.
Yeah, difficult start. Ari just looking to do what she does in practice, show that she belongs in this lineup, and she's doing that so far. She did a great job on that.
Really well
turn.
done. Like I mentioned on bars, she does sometimes have a little bit of a flex of the foot. Judge might get her there, but really solid on such a difficult element. Here's her combination, backhanded layout, really solid.
Great landing, and she has nice form in the air on that.
She finished that series really just quick and aggressive. It's important if you're a little bit off, you get your center of gravity right back over the beam to kind of avoid a wobble. Unfortunately like that, but good front aerial. Could be a little bit of a check, but honestly for her first time out, she's really not acting like it at all in her face and the way she's performing. That is going to be a tough one. I'm not sure they're going to give her credit for that combination.
Yeah, looked a little shaky on that, and as we were saying before, those connections are so vital to the start value of these routines. And doesn't stick the landing, but for her first beam showing, I think she should be really proud of herself, staying on the beam and looking confident as well.
And she hasn't really exhibition much either, so there hasn't been that much competition experience for her in any sort of fashion for her. I've seen her do a bunch of beam routines in practice. She looks solid, but honestly, it's just a different ball game when you go to a competition and have to put on that comp Leo.
Definitely.
Interesting to see. We'll be watching out for that start value. If they don't give her that leap combination, she's going to start in the 9.6 or 9.7 range, which is a pretty big drop from obviously that 10.0 start and going to be the score they'd want to drop.
The second floor routine for Bowling Green gets a 9.625, and their third competitor, Maddie Coburn, starting her routine.
She's got a combination for her first tumbling pass. It's going to be a front tuck step out through a double whack. A tough combination.
I have seen her do this pass with a great landing, so we'll see if she starts that way today.
That's good lift with her shoulders. Really well done. Love the show of emotion on her face after really nailing that pass.
Getting that all the way around. That again is a place of bonus and start value for floor.
Our award score comes through as a 9.75, so she did get that 10.0 start value. It was a little bit dicey. The judges did give her the benefit of the doubt. And honestly, with the couple wobbles she had, it shows that she really does have high scoring potential. So if she could really get up and nail that beam routine, she could go maybe in that 9.9 range, which is where Rutu was at. So it's good to know the potential she has there. Double pike.
Out of that, so that'll be a deduction, but difficult routine from Maddie with a double pike.
She was able to stay in bounds there at the end. She was right on the line, so it's tennis rules. The line is in, so if she keeps her foot without going past the line, then she won't get that additional 10th deduction, excuse me.
Here goes Abby on beam. As we saw, her season high is a 9.8. I think she's capable of beating that, so hopefully she does that today and gets the Illini back into that 9.8 range.
Yeah, she has a 9.925 career high dating back to her sophomore year in 2022. Definitely just had a couple wobbles so far this year, but is capable of putting this whole routine together, and I'm sure she's hoping for that today.
top layout. Unfortunately, has a sizable wobble there. When the beam workers fully bend in the hips, it is pretty much the biggest wobble before falling, but we do like to see her fighting to stay on.
Yeah, really impressive that she actually stayed on the beam. You could see that back handspring, she was a little bit low. Her legs were bent on the takeoff, which meant the layout step up didn't get the rise she was looking for, so that's why it was kind of under-rotated and caused that wobble. But he brought it back really nicely for her double switch leap series. Was trying to connect that beat jump into a front toss. She's gonna give it another shot. Isn't gonna get it. So she will not start out of a 10.
Looks like maybe that wobble on the series threw her off a little bit on that skill in the rest of the routine. Looks like
she's gonna try and do an additional leap to get her 10-0 start value.
I think in moments like this, she just has to remain confident, doing a good job of improvising on the spot.
It's really important that the athletes actually know the code like that. She knew she was going to be a 10th short, so she added a leap that she does not normally compete. That's not something she's used to training. Added it in at the last second. There's a little bit of kind of a rhythm of her getting it done. But, you know, if she gets half 10th for rhythm, but she adds a whole 10th back in start value, it's still worth it. So nice to see that she, you know, on the fly can think and knows the rules in that fashion. Moving back over to Bowling Green on the floor with Love Akpin. She's going to show us our first 3-pass routine of the day. But she has nice, overall, I really appreciated her choreography and expression I saw in warm-up. So nice double pike, good control.
I didn't see that front foot move very much, so that is a great landing.
Going to be the same pass we just saw, but in the tuck position, so bending her legs, pulls it around. Looked like she might have been a little short on the takeoff, but she held on as long as she needed to. Just a little bit of a slide on that landing, but not a big deal at all.
Yes, did a good job of minimizing that under-rotation deduction of stepping forward.
That's a switch side into 2 popas. Really, really nice extension on those popas and a lot of height. Score comes through for Abby Miller at 9.475, so going to be the score they're going to want to drop. She'll finish off with a combination pass, front layout to front full. Really nicely done. This is absolutely going to be their top score of the rotation so far. A lot to be excited about. Really nice overall, just power and expression.
And I do love to see those 3-pass routines still in the lineup, which shows the endurance that the athlete has and their, you know, different skills and passes that they're capable of. And she did a great job with each of those landings on those 3 passes.
Yeah. Obviously, all these routines are starting out of a 10, but it is a subjective sport. The judges do appreciate when people go above and beyond in difficulty, like doing 3 passes like that.
Here goes Katie on her beam routine, hoping to put up a higher number than we saw from Abby.
She's been really solid so far this year. Hasn't been in the beam lineup until really this year, so excited to see her break in. Here's her, acro series, a 1-arm back handspring to back handspring, very solid. This is going to be her big mixed gym acro series here. It's going to be a switch leap to a layout step out standing. A little bit slow on the connection, but I believe will get credit.
Does a good job pulling herself to that landing. I like how quick Katie is to her landings to really minimize any balance checks.
One final big combination for her. It's going to be 3 dance elements in a row. Very important she gets all of it for her start value. And I believe she got all those. Really well done.
Great split line Katie has.
It's be a unique dismount. It's a kick into a Rudy, front 1.5 twist. The only one we're going to see today. And she's pretty good at sticking it as well. And she does.
That was a really great routine from Katie. No major wobbles and a stuck landing.
It's really exciting to see in her senior year, her really come into her own, be really confident in what she's doing on the beam. Sometimes was a little bit wobbly on beam in the past years, but really just going out and just, when there was a mistake right before, was able to go out and just rock a beam set. Super impressive, and excited to see that growth in her personally.
Yes, she has come so far. And back on floor, the last competitor, Love Akpan, got a 9-8, so I think she should be very happy with that score, following a couple 9-6 scores. And I think that was a well-deserved 9-8.
We have Kira Thornton doing her high energy floor set. Another one of those combination tumbling passes at the beginning. Punch front through to double back. A lot of power there. Unfortunately, just couldn't find the landing. Gonna be out of bounds. So that's an additional 10th deduction that's automatic. So she's gonna basically start out of a 9-9 for this routine.
Yeah, it just looked like she held onto her legs a little bit too long on that, which caused her to over-rotate.
Another triple leap combination. Pretty good. A little bit overturned into the leaps. It was kind of unclear what she was actually going for. You really want to be very crisp. If you're going for a switch half, you want to stop directly at the half before you go into the next skill. She kind of merged into each one. So the judges might take a little bit of a deduction there. 9.825 comes through for Katie Ewald, getting the Illini back on track as Kira does her final tumbling pass, which is going to be a double pike.
Another two-pass routine for Bowling Green.
Really good.
Nice landing. Yeah, she slides a little bit of that front foot, but a controlled lunge.
Really brought it back after that first pass, which had a couple of those steps.
Which is really what you have to do when maybe the first pass is not exactly what you want. It's so important to finish each other pass with as best landing as possible.
Yeah, she did a really good job just resetting it, bringing it back to what she knows, and did a great job to minimize the deductions there on that routine. This is Mia Takakawa mounting the beam.
Already on the 6th athlete, so Illinois looking to drop the 9.475 that was previously notched, and I think if anyone can do it, it's Mia.
Yeah, Big Ten champion on this event, All-American, really just an excellent beamer. Had a couple wobbles so far this season, really wants to bring it back and have a solid effort. Did a great job of minimizing that. She was so off on that side aerial back handspring. Really was just a small bobble.
She has been struggling on that series a tiny bit, so despite it being crooked, it's good that she tried to minimize that deduction. Not much of a wobble on that full turn either.
One major combination left is going to be switch leap into a gainer layout step out. Gainer meaning she swings her leg along the side of the beam. It's very difficult. Did not get that connection. She's going to have to try it again. It's really important. It's a requirement, which is worth 2/10, and then she also gets bonus for it, so has to try it again. It's going to get this one. Very solid.
Great job repeating that. And you are allowed to repeat. They might take something on rhythm there, but as long as she doesn't do 3 of one skill, she can do 2 of those switch leaps.
Yeah, so good that she was able to get it there in time. Gonna start out of a 10, but there was some wobbles associated, and then gets the stick. So still not the beam routines we're really used to seeing from Mia Takakawa, but will drop that 9.475 and put the Illinois into a better situation after this beam rotation.
Yes.
Believe they're going to be below the 49 mark on beam, which is not ideal, but they do have a really strong floor team that they can hopefully bring it back for that final rotation. Catherine Walbacher entering the floor for her routine.
Season high 9.925, so if she does what she's capable of, it should be a really great routine. She will start off with a combination pass that we saw earlier, front through to a double tuck.
Pretty nicely done. Good amplitude. Did pull her legs a little bit wide, so gonna maybe get a deduction for the cowboy like we've been mentioning, but definitely some really good dynamics there. .985 comes through for Mia Takakawa, so pretty good number for them. Will get them to a 49 even, so all things considered, there were some wobbles in there that they obviously are not happy with, but still came out to a decent number. Really excellent extension on those popas. The straddle full definitely hit that 180-degree split.
Catherine gearing up for her last pass, a double pike.
Sometimes pulls her legs a little bit wide in the straddle. Hopefully she can keep it clean today. Pretty good, a little bit, but good control over on the landing and great dynamics. It's going to be their top number for sure.
It's a bit of a larger lunge. It looks like on beam we have an exhibition going. Allie Morgan.
Unfortunately, does put her hands down the beam.
Catherine giving her high fives after that. Good routine. And here is the exhibition, Allie.
Definitely a lot to be happy about for that Bowling Green floor rotation. Did have a couple extra steps. Really just want to get dial in those landings as they get to their MAC championships in a couple weeks. A very competitive conference that really, on any given day, any team can go in and win. So want to really be in their best shape for that. Allie doing her hitch kick to switch half. A little bit short of that half turn. I think she'll get credit just with some deduction.
Allie is really pretty on beam. Her lines make her leaps especially really stand out.
She really just carries and floats off the beam on each leap.
Nice job on that full turn, and she should be gearing up for that dismount here soon.
It's going to be a gainer pike off the end, swing her legs to the side, hopefully grab the stick. A little bit of a hop in place, but did really well not to come off the beam, but obviously there was that major break. So maybe not the beam routine she was hoping for, but getting that experience each time out.
Yes,
9-8 comes through for Catherine Wilbacher. Gonna help notch up their floor total a couple tenths as they get ready for their own exhibition in Emily Castiglia. We have Emily Castiglia starting off her floor routine. A round off back handspring, double pike. Really nice lift there. Unfortunately, just held onto her legs a little bit too long, out of bounds as well.
Looks really nice in the air, but yes, as you said, held on a little bit too long. See her leap combination here.
Nice triple combination. A lot of 3 skill series we've seen from this Bowling Green team.
It's definitely getting their start values coming from those difficult leap combinations.
Shows her second pass, a double tuck. Really dialed in the landing there.
Much better job on that landing as compared to her first pass.
Really appreciate the performance quality of this routine. She seems very comfortable with her choreography and the expression she has going on. You can see her looking over to the teammates, doing a couple head nods. She's very, very confident in what she's doing. Gonna finish off with her combination pass. Front full to front pike.
Not a ton of amplitude on that second flip, but a good landing.
I wonder if that was supposed to be a front full front layout. I think she's going to be short 1/10 of bonus, so only start out of a 9-9 by my count. But in terms of the passes, that double pike is very, very powerful. Just really needs to work on, finesse and control of that landing. Keep that front foot planted.
Looks like Illinois has a second exhibition on beam. The prior exhibition, Allie Morgan's routine is causing a judges conference, it looks like. So they're just going over their start values that they're giving Allie and making sure that that's all correct.
Yeah, so the judges can't be any more than 2/10 apart for the most part. So, for instance, a judge can't give a 9.65 and then a 9.9. That's too far apart. They have to come together and discuss their deductions, make sure they start out the same place, and make sure they're evaluating the judges or the athletes on a similar level, and that a judge didn't miss something. So it seems like there's a little bit of a discussion maybe on whether or not they credited her series that she put her hands down, or maybe just one judge took something that the other judge didn't see. So have to come together and get to a reasonable number. But unfortunately for Aaliyah Burns, she's a little bit iced out. Just gonna try and keep warm. You can see her moving around. So the legs are fresh. Looks like the conference is over.
The fans starting a ILL chant, which they frequent when there's some pauses in the momentum of the meet.
Aaliyah has a really, really pretty beam routine. Just sometimes struggles a little bit with some wobbles and some confidence, but everything she does is so well done. So if she can get to a position where she's really confident and crisp up on the beam, then she can really break this lineup and really contribute. She's been in this exhibition spot a couple times. The biggest test for her is going to be this back handspring layout step out.
Has to wobble a little bit. Looks like she just kind of brought her chest up quickly out of that layout, which caused her to step back and turn there. Really
nice straddle jump. I love the crispness of her hand movements, just very, very aggressive and just showing her overall confidence.
Yes, Illinois really strives to have confident dance in addition to confident skills.
Woo.
Looks like her foot slipped a little bit on that jump, but a very difficult jump, taking her eyes off the beam and throwing her head back.
That's a tough D-leap. It's a sheep jump, the only one we've seen today. It's really hard to not only get credit for, but also do without deduction. She did a pretty good job of showing that. You want your heels basically by your forehead, which is, imagine bending that direction. She's gonna show us a round off double twist dismount.
Difficult dismount, and she gets the stick.
Besides that one little wobble, that was a pretty solid routine. My guess is gonna be fighting for a lineup spot as they head on the road to Alabama next week.
Illinois notching a 49, which I think Aaliyah did a good job, as you said, showing her capabilities. They would like to see a little bit higher than the score they got today on that event.
Yeah, so Illinois has expanded upon their lead to a point and a half, 147.075 to Bowling Green's 145.575. Heading into the final rotation where Bowling Green will head to the beam and Illinois to perhaps their strongest event, the floor, hopefully ending out this this meet on a bang. We will catch you guys back after the break. Welcome back to Huff Hall, heading into the fourth rotation. Illinois opened up a 1.5 lead over the Bowling Green Falcons. Not maybe the beam rotation Illinois was looking for, just a 49-0, but a lot to be happy about. No falls, and did pick up the lineup really well after Abby had a little bit of a misstep.
Yes, probably not as high as a number they would have liked to have seen. Still not quite hitting a solid all-around beam rotation. And then Bowling Green on the floor with a 48.575. A pretty solid score for them. They had overall good landings, but they did have some out-of-bounds deductions, which will automatically take away from their potential score on that event.
Yeah, I think the basics and the power they had overall on their tumbling was really strong. Just couldn't find their landings today, so that did suffer their score a little bit. Heading into beam, they're a pretty strong beam team. Sometimes have some consistency issues, but showing that highlight from Katie Ewald, a wonderful beam set.
One of these combination passes from the Bowling Green floor lineup.
Yeah, really well done. Then Mia Takakawa closing out with a 9.85. Couple more uncharacteristic wobbles today. Really gonna head back into the gym this week and really just try and refine up her passes. Catherine Wallbacher there, the 9.8 to close out the Bowling Green rotation. Once again, Bowling Green will be on the beam for the final rotation and Illinois on the floor. Just a couple minutes left back in the warm-up period. We will catch you guys back for rotation number 4 here at Huff Hall. This event is being produced by students at the University of Illinois as a part of the Big Ten Network Student U program. An on-campus experience that is unique to the Big Ten. Student U is a part of an educational mission to teach the next generation of sports production professionals. For more information, visit bigtennetwork.com/student-u. All right, and we are back for rotation number 4. As mentioned, Illinois heading to the floor and Bowling Green to the beam. Not too competitive of a meet today. Illinois has gotten themselves to a 1.5 lead over Bowling Green. So really, it's just about this last rotation. You're coming in. Bowling Green's kind of out of reach for them today. What are you thinking about going to this beam rotation?
I think especially being away, ending on beam, they're just going to want to be as confident as possible. As we were saying, the win of tonight isn't necessarily as important as the score that these teams put up. So I think they're going to want to maintain some of the momentum that they have coming off of floor and minimize those wobbles on beam. Illinois coming on floor. They too would have probably have liked to see some higher event totals so far today. And the past couple meets have had some uncharacteristic floor mistakes with some out of bounds, but I think today they just want to minimize those deductions and hopefully put up a number well into the 49 range to get as high of a team score as possible.
Absolutely. We mentioned the average for the rankings. It's a national qualifying score. And so Bowling Green is well within reach of 48.425. Will get them to a 194. Their current average is a 193.9. So anything higher than a 194 will actually raise their national qualifying score. So they're well capable of doing that today. As we see their leadoff, Emily Castiglia, the great front toss to back handspring.
Nice job on that opening series connection.
Piked front toss there. That's an E element directly connected to the beat jump.
I think Emily looks really confident up there. As we've been consistently saying, the first competitor is just so important to set that tone and be confident, especially on beam, which can be a little nerve-wracking. Does a good job on that jump combination. Her chest was a little bit far down, but did a good job of trying to disguise that wobble.
A lot of really difficult elements in this routine. That straddle three-quarter, the piked front toss. She's gonna finish off with a front full dismount, hopefully grab a stick. A little bit up on her toes, maybe a small shuffle, but a great leadoff for them. A 48.425 team total, get them to that 194 as mentioned. So that's gonna obviously put them on pace for even better than that. So really starting them off strong on this beam rotation to get themselves to a nice strong road score for their average.
Yes, and Ari starting off floor for Illinois, completing her all-around debut. So this is her first time doing all 4 events, and hopefully she finishes it off with a bang on the floor.
Yeah, she was one of the athletes that went out of bounds on Friday, so really hoping to dial in these landings here. She has a nice, fun first pass. It's a triple combination, front layout to front full to front pike. It's been very good this season, so hopefully we see the same. Stuck gold.
Doesn't even have to take that lunge, which she is allowed to do.
Tough leap combination,
difficult leap combination to get that wolf 1.5 all the way around.
Yeah, might have been a little bit short on this one, but definitely will get credit. This is the pass she went out of bounds on, the double back. Sometimes can be a little bit short on, really needs to get her arms up aggressive out of the back handspring.
Has a lot of height on this pass.
That was great.
No out of bounds today. A slight slide of her front foot, but a controlled lunge.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll find her with the chest down at the end of the routine, so that was, in terms of dynamics, her chest was up. That slide, like you mentioned, but a really good, strong effort for Ari Ward. As Emily Castiglia comes through with a 9.8. That is a great leadoff score for Bowling Green.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what a leadoff is meant to do, get a high score and give the rest of the team that energy to keep going. But a really strong first routine from Ari. I think that should hopefully score well and give the Illini the start that they need on their last event.
Absolutely. Ari's been scoring really well this year. They appreciate, she's got a lot of dynamics, really good leap combination. So I expect that to really move forward in that, hopefully not into the 9.8, maybe 9.85 range. As we have Love Okpin finishing her all-around day with her leap combination.
Not quite 180 on that switch leap, but not any balance issues.
It's going to show us a more popular acros here. Is the back handspring to layout step out.
Nice landing there, no wobbles.
Yeah, very solid. A little bit of form, so our feet weren't fully pointed, and a little bit of soft knees. That was really nice. An aerial round off.
Not a skill you see very often.
No,
a very difficult single element.
Very difficult. That's an E once again. Skills are rated from A to E. D's and E's. A D gets 1/10 bonus, E 2/10. So worth a lot for her start value. She goes for her dismount, a 1.5 twist, and grabs the stick. 2 for 2 so far for Bowling Green en route to bumping up their national qualifying score.
I think that should put up a similarly solid score as the first routine.
9.875 comes through for Ari Ward. A great leadoff number for them as they've had a couple rough floor rotations in the past couple weeks.
She's probably really happy with that score, especially after the little out of bounds of the last meet. And here goes Katie Ewald, second competitor on floor.
Yeah, she's going to show us the first look at an E tumbling pass. It's going to be a front double twist. The thing to look at for her is, does she get the twist all the way around? She wants to be completely facing the corner. Sometimes it's a little bit short, so we'll see what she can do for us here.
And as Connor had said, she steps a little bit not directionally straight. Might get a little bit of a deduction, kind of twisted into the floor there.
Yeah, not a big deal. It's going to get credit. Just might have a 10th or 10th and a half just for overall preparation for landing and being complete on the twist. So one risk for those tumbling passes is they're difficult, so it's hard to get all the way around without deduction. This is a nice combination, yeah.
Love Offhand getting a 9.825. So the Bowling Green Falcons are on a really strong start on beam.
Really, really good 2 routines for them.
A little don't worry, be happy
Absolutely.
for Katie's routine. A good mindset to have on floor.
This is her leap combination, really gets great extension. 3 straddle jump elements in a row.
And a solid routine for Katie. I think she'll be happy with that.
Absolutely, it was a really nice recovery on that second Rudy to lay out, step out. Like you mentioned, the front double full a little bit short, but got it brought back on that second element. Maybe we'll still notch into that 9.8 range. She went 9.875 on Friday. I don't expect it to be quite as high, but still a very strong effort.
Nadia Parente, Bowling Green's 3rd athlete, getting her beam routine going.
Really like her fluidity on this event. A great backhand layout step out and so solid.
Her leap element, a cat leap, switch half, doesn't quite hit that 180 degrees on the leap, so that will likely be a deduction.
But very, very solid, continuing the trend for Bowling Green, just so confident and comfortable with the routines they're doing here.
They're doing what a great team does, going into the last event away and down. They look very confident and are hitting these routines and sticking the landings.
And fighting for the stick. It's so easy just to take a step back, but she saved it. Worked really hard to keep that stick, and that's going to keep them right on pace of that 9.8 range. Their season high on beams of 49.175. They're right around that pace right now. A season high beam rotation would be very exciting for them because they do sometimes struggle with consistency. Obviously, beam is probably the easiest event to fall off on, so season high beam would be exciting for them, excuse me.
Agreed. Katie gets a 9.75 on her routine, so probably took something on that first pass, but not a bad score by any means. And here goes Abby, who's known for her showmanship in her routine and some high tumbling passes as well.
Yeah, she has a season high of 9.95. They're changing up her leaps a couple times this year to kind of figure out what works. But it's going to be a punch front to double back to lead off her routine.
A great finish, a little bit of a front foot movement, but I think the judges will like the amplitude on that.
Yeah, very minor deduction. That's a great switch full. That's a D-level lead.
The crowd getting into it here, clapping for this routine. And another beam score, 9.825. Really impressive.
This is her final tumbling pass, another combination, front layout to front full. They tighten her core. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit short on the front layout. Gonna set that down.
Pretty uncharacteristic for Abby, unfortunately, but we'll finish off with her last leap combination.
Yeah, not the finish to the day Abby was looking for. But very I've never actually seen her fall on floor really ever, let alone on the front layout, front full. So definitely something she can write off as a fluke, but still frustrating as an athlete, right? Not to go out and do your best. So
yeah, I think a win she could take away from that routine is maybe getting those leap passes more consistent, because that is something that had been they'd been playing around with a little bit. But I thought those leaps looked really great, just that uncharacteristic fall on the bounding pass.
Yeah, they switched up those leaps at the last meet. The judges weren't too strict on it, so they did score that a little bit better than they had the other things she was going for this year. We have Elise Broska on beam. Her back handspring layout, triple combination, really well done.
Very difficult beam series. We haven't seen that yet today, a triple element, and she did a great job staying straight and not having many wobbling deductions.
I think a little bit short of the 180-degree split on that straddle quarter. But the good thing about doing a difficult series like that is you get so much bonus just from doing it that she can basically just get off the beam right now. It's a much shorter routine. Almost gets the stick.
Fights a little bit for that stick, but yes, has to take that step. But still keeping that momentum going. That should still be a solid score. And as Aaliyah prepares for her routine, the judges are going to deliberate Abby's start value. Why do you think they are having a conference now, Connor?
My guess is I think one judge gave her a 10-0 start value, which in this case would be incorrect. She fell on her combination pass, which takes away the connection bonus she would get from it. So she loses 2/10 of connection, so she should start off a 9-8. One judge has that, and the other judge, I think, just gave her the full 10-0 start value. There's a lot of rules in gymnastics. Even the judges sometimes can't keep all of them straight. But it's important that they get on the same page and evaluate the rules correctly and make sure that all the routines are properly evaluated. So gonna have a discussion, make sure that everybody is on the same page start value-wise. When you have a fall like that, you actually have a bigger range of the deduction. So if it's below a certain score, then you can have a 3 or 4/10 range in score. So we'll see what they actually end up coming to.
Some Illini men's gymnastics members in the crowd here supporting their fellow gymnastics team.
9:075 comes through for Abby Miller. Like we mentioned, starts out of a 9-8 plus the fall, so can add 7/10 there to kind of guess maybe about where she was going to score, but there are some deductions associated with the fall in addition to the 5/10s.
And here goes Aaliyah, who has actually been a little bit in and out of this floor lineup, so it seems that she must have proved her ability to deliver, and I really hope she shows that here. A very difficult first pass.
Yeah, really difficult.
And it looks like
the judge did not raise her hand, so I don't think she's going to get the out-of-bounds deduction. She was very, very close.
doesn't exactly straddle at the half there, but does make it all the way around and is 180.
The one thing Aaliyah has struggled with, she's had some really, really bright spots on floor this year. It's this double pike. Sometimes runs out of gas a little bit, needs to really be aggressive here on the roundup by cancer to get nice and tall and get it around. Elise Broska gets her a 9.775. Continuing the momentum Bowling Green has on being dipped down a little bit, but really not a big deal at all.
Here goes Aaliyah for that pass that has shown some inconsistency, but
that was great.
Does a great job today. Yes, no stepping forward.
You can see she was maybe a little bit under-rotated, but dug those toes into the floor to make sure she could still take that controlled lunge back to avoid the additional deduction. Pretty good effort for Aaliyah there. A little bit of control on the first pass will be a deduction, but second pass was much better, and I think that's a good reset routine for them after Abby Miller's fall.
So proud of her for showing up here today in the floor lineup. And then going back over to beam.
This is going to be Megan Bingham, who, as you can see there, season high of 9.925, really is a great beamer.
Starting out with her series combination, a little bit crooked there and swings her arms. So that'll just be a balanced deduction from the judges.
Did really well to stay on the beam though. Fortunately, just a little bit lacking confidence on that side aerial. I don't think it was too off, but sometimes when you have that initial wobble, it rattles you a little bit. You aren't completely focused. Hopefully can reset in her brain here for this dance combination. Does a pretty good job.
I think she just has her dismount left. Round off 1.5. And holds on
so
to the
hard.
stick,
That
yes.
stick, yeah, really well done. Digs those toes in the ground. Well done. Interesting move by the judges. One judge only gave Aaliyah a 9.9 start value. By my count, she should have started out of a 10. That first pass gets a lot of bonus.
And as we've seen, judges are getting up and we'll discuss that difference.
Yeah, so you're allowed to differ in terms of the execution deduction. So a judge might have 2/10 off and another judge might have a 1/10 and a half, but you're not allowed to differ in terms of start value. So they do have to get on the same page there. So they're going to discuss that. Judge 1, I believe, is going to end up raising her score. She has a 9.75 out of a 9.9, so she should raise to a 9.85. They're already done discussing, so I think they went through the numbers really quick, realized she did have the 6/10 she needed, and are going to correct her score.
In the meantime, Megan's score on beam came out as a 9.7, so I think that reflects some of the wobbles she had.
They actually didn't end up raising Aaliyah's score, which is interesting. I guess we'll see what they end up doing there, because if she kept the same amount of deductions, her score, Judge 1 should have gone up a 1/10 and then raised the score half-tenth with the average of the judges. But you can see floor coach Josh Milson is already getting his inquiry sheet ready.
Here goes Kaden for her first tumbling pass, a front layout, front Rudy.
Really nice lift on that Rudy. We mentioned you want to get more height on the second skill in a combination than the first, and she did a great job there. Megan Bingham's score comes through as a 9.7, which will give them a 194.5, which is a reasonable score for them. Will notch up their NQS absolutely.
Kaden's last pass is a double pike, so she also does a 2-pass routine.
Needs to get her arms up really aggressive out of this back handspring. Sometimes can be short as well, and just gets it around. You know, coming off of a double meet weekend like this, Aaliyah and Kaden both were in this lineup just 2 days ago, so legs are not feeling as fresh as maybe you'd like them to be. So seeing them really fight to get these passes around, maybe when they're not feeling 100%, is super impressive. It's a good finish to that floor routine.
And now we're already on our 6th competitor for these events, Catherine Wilbacher, getting ready for her beam routine.
Like I mentioned, Bowling Green already at a 194.5. That's her 4th highest score on the season.
And a strong beam total without Catherine's routine, a 48.925.
Would love to replace that 9.7. That was a beautiful back handspring layout step out.
Very pretty splits Catherine has on her leap combination.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit short on that straddle corridor. Her chest wasn't facing the judge maybe the way it should have been. She was still a little bit perpendicular on the beam, but like you said, 180-degree splits are really well done. So unfortunate little wobble there just in a transition kind of choreography. Just a little bit of a concentration break. Unfortunately does come off on that front toss.
Yeah, so it seems as though Bowling Green will have to stick with the scores that they have already in for beam.
Which is still a pretty successful day for them. Will bump up their NQS. They've gotten 2 194s in a row. Nice gainer full off the end. A difficult pass, or difficult dismount, excuse me. 9.775 comes through for Kaden. Maybe a little bit lower than I was expecting. The double pike, she did get it around, but maybe her chest was a little bit forward. A lot of things the judges can really focus on, especially the leaps as well. So this is a great anchor for this floor lineup in Mia Towns.
Always so fun and exciting to watch Mia's routine. She has not only great passes, but great choreography as well. And hoping to get rid of that fall score from earlier. Starting off with an E. Oh, switches that up today.
Yeah, honestly, I believe she kind of makes a game time decision sometimes based on how her punch out of the front hamstring feels. So she maybe thought she was going to be a little bit short, decided to go to the Rudy. Not going to be a big deal. She just has to add a little leap in at the end to get herself back to a 10-0 start value, but always quick thinking on her feet for Mia Towns.
Going into her combination, 1.5 front full, always does that so well.
A little bit of a slide, but not a big deal at all.
So probably see her throw in that jump here.
Yeah, Wolf 1.5 needs an additional D.
And still finishing with her leap combination.
Really nice finish from Mia Towns. Will definitely drop that Abby Miller 9.075. Likely get them up into the low 196 range, which not a bad score, but maybe not the score they were looking for today. Just gave away a little bit too much on landings. Beam was not as solid as they're known for, usually known as a beam team. Just a little bit wobbly today. It is really tough going from a Friday meet. You don't really have, they weren't in the gym at all, quite frankly, so they didn't have time to go in and make any adjustments. It's all mental. So.
And it looks like before the meet concludes, we do have some exhibitions on both events. Serena Ross getting ready to go on beam.
And 2 exhibitions for Illinois on floor, I believe.
And Catherine Wilbacher did get 9.125, so they will drop that score. Serena starting off with her series. Slight wobble, maybe a little bit of a rhythm deduction on the beginning of that. Something in beam is not waiting too long before all of your skills as to show confidence and fluidity.
Unfortunately, just off on that front aerial. It's a very tough element. The final score comes through for Mia Towns at 9.825, gets them to a 196.075. Tough stag ring. Like I mentioned, the back heel needs to be kind of up by the forehead. Didn't quite hit the position there, so judges might hit her for not hitting the position as the rule book requires.
Finishing up her routine, gainer full to what looked like a stuck landing.
Yeah, fortunately did have a fall there, but getting the experience. Allie Morgan's out on the floor doing an exhibition. She's been in the lineup most of season, but did have a fall on Friday, so they tried out something new today. Hopefully she can earn her spot right back with an excellent performance here.
Missed that leap combination, but it looked nice, and her first pass had a nice landing as well.
The judges have really taken well to her routine. She's got great lines, really good performance quality. It scored really well, so this is the pass she fell on. She needs to stay tight and get it done.
And struggles a little bit. She got a little bit soft in her knees, which really can take away from the bounce that you get from the floor. So that's why we saw her take those couple of steps backwards.
Just needed a little bit more from that front layout into the front full. Her feet were just too far in front of her. But honestly, watching her in practice, she doesn't really miss that pass ever. So I think it might just be a little bit of a confidence thing. She'll go back in the gym this week and kind of iron it out. And I think she'll probably be right back in the floor lineup when they head on the road to Bama on Friday. But you see, just the performance quality is top notch there. Crowd appreciates it. The judges do appreciate it as well. So they would like it back, like that routine back in their lineup, but obviously she needs to be hitting for that.
As we can see, all the floor scores up now, a total of a 49 with Mia Towns leading, or excuse me, Arielle Ward leading the way with a 9.875. So again, we would like to see a little bit higher than a 49 flat. I think the judges could have been a little tight on some of those scores, but we did see some off landings here and there that probably contributed to that event total.
Yeah, still, I think a lot of what they did today was better. They were fighting really hard, looked maybe a little bit tired. It is really tough doing 2 meets back to back like that. I think, like we mentioned, the judging might have been a little bit tight today. There's a lot of meets where this floor rotation might have gone 49-1, 49-2, even higher. So there really isn't a lot to be disappointed about. Obviously, Abby had that uncharacteristic fall, but like we said, that's pretty easy to write off as a fluke. So we're going to see a final exhibition here from Amelia Knight. All right, unofficially, we're at a 196.075, 194.5. We'll come back with the final results here in a minute. You can enjoy Amelia Knight's exhibition floor routine. Welcoming you back to Huff Hall for the final time tonight. We had great dual meet between the Illinois Fighting Illini and the Bowling Green Falcons, with the all-around total winner going to Ari Ward in her first ever all-around competition for the Illini. Very exciting for her to notch into that beam lineup, with Catherine Welbacher coming in second place with the uncharacteristic fall on the beam.
And then Love Akpan and Abby Miller also posting all-around scores. But Aria Ward, just so proud of her for doing all-around for the first time and hitting her events really well.
Yeah, very exciting to see her come in. Obviously not in the best circumstances. Illinois coming in with a little bit of adversity, losing Rutu there in the warm-ups. Very unfortunate for them, but they rallied together as a team, put through a strong performance. Was not perfect, but really they did fight from the beginning to the end. So, you know, not the highest number ever, still kind of continuing themselves in the 196 streak. They're on a good pace. They're going to be in a favorable, fun environment in an SEC at Bama on Friday. There's going to be a big crowd. Hopefully it'll be a lot of fun for them. You can see the final score coming through. Illinois taking first on all four events with a 196.075 to Bowling Green's 194.5. No counted falls today for either team, so a lot to be excited about. Also happy to have back Catherine Welbacher, their star all-arounder. Definitely looking back in this week, I think both teams just have some stuff to to iron out some extra wobbles on beam, some confidence issues, and really just going for some sticks. I think that was a big major deduction point for the athletes on bars, just a lot of landing deductions.
Again, both teams did have 2 meets this weekend, which is not customary, so had to kind of fight through that, but did a great job in going into the couple final meets of the season.
Absolutely, a lot to work on this week in the gym, and I have no doubt that they will really hit the ground running here on Monday. But that wraps things up for us today. For my broadcast partner, Julia Waite, and our entire Big Ten Plus crew, I'm Connor McCool saying so long from Huff Hall. Once again, the final score is Illinois defeating the Bowling Green Falcons 196-075 to 194-5. Our next production of Illini Women's Gymnastics comes your way on Sunday, March 17th, when both Arizona and Missouri come to Huff Hall for a tri-meet. We thank you for watching this Big Ten Network Student U production by the University of Illinois.